everyone today. It's Sunday. I see no one here. What's going on, guys? It is 6:01. I am on time. Okay, let's get this party started. Yeah. Welcome to the Renaissance. Huh? The Renaissance, right? Am I right? We got the minstrel music playing. We got the wine pouring. Let's do this. It's a wild time, the Renaissance. Let me tell you, right now, in the Renaissance period, we think the world is flat. Science is very scary. This is crazy. This is this wild idea. This whole thing, people are getting hung for this. Some old, fat, crazy white dudes are ruling most of the world. There is a limited understanding of health and hygiene, and even more rudimentary understanding of dental care. Am I right? Bet some of you didn't see that coming. Women wear flowers in their hair for stature and wealth at festivals. There's a plague. And if any of this doesn't sound real familiar, just know that unlike the Renaissance, now we have the internet, which means we can throw our rotten tomatoes digitally instead of getting our hands dirty with our fellow countrymen and friends to ostracize them. So, you know, what a time to be alive. Anyways, we are going to be reading books. I'm going to be drinking wine. And, yeah, it's Sunday. I wasn't even sure if I was going to make it today, so this is good. So I have a big old book that I was loaned by the lovely Carolyn, again. So I will be reading, these. Hold on, let me see. I don't know how to switch the camera around. I never know how to do that. Anyways. So if you've ever been to the Renaissance Festival, you'll always find that there is at least one woman reading Mother Goose nursery rhymes somewhere at the festival to about like 3 very confused and or frightened children that their parents just dumped on that poor lady. Huzzah! So let's go ahead with Mother Goose rhymes. There's so many in here. We're going to start with Old MacDonald's Farm. The Hobby Horse. I had a little hobby horse, and it was dapple gray. Its head was made of pea straw, and its tail was made of hay. I sold it to an old woman for a copper penny, and I'll gladly sing my song again if your host should whinny. I don't know what that means. The Piper and His Cow. There was a piper had a cow, and he had nothing to give her. He pulled out his pipes and played her a tune, and asked the cow to consider. The cow considered very well, and gave the piper some money, and asked him to play another tune that she would find quite funny. Shave a pig. Barber, barber, shave a pig. How many hairs will make a wig? 4 and 20, that's enough. Give the barber a pinch of snuff. Old nursery rhymes are weird, guys. I don't know if anybody knows that. There was a little pig who was very big. So they put him in a great big show while playing in the band. He broke his little hand, and now he can't play his old banjo. The donkey. Donkey, donkey, old and gray, open your mouth and gentle bray. Lift your ears and blow your horn to wake up the world this sleepy morn. Bell horses. Bell horses, bell horses, what time of day? 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, 3, and away. I'm only going to do a few more of these because they're a little freaking weird, right? Robert Barnes. Robert Barnes, fellow fine, can you shoe this horse of mine? Yes, good sir, that I can, as well as other man. There's a nail and there's a prod, and he'll be good, sir. Your horse is shod. I don't even know what half these words are. How am I expecting little children to understand what these words are? I'm telling you, the Renaissance was weird. It's basically now, but without the internet. Okay, so I'm not going to do any more of those because they're kind of weird, right? Maybe I'll dabble into some more later. But let's move on. How about the Emperor's new clothes? I love that it's basically King Louis or whatever from Robin Hood. The Emperor's new clothes. Once there was an emperor who loved to dress up in fine clothes. He cared more about clothes than anyone else in the world. The emperor had a different robe for every hour of the day. These robes filled the whole floor of his palace, but still he wanted more. Are you all enjoying this minstrel music I found on Pandora? One day, 2 weavers came to see the emperor. They said they could weave a very wonderful cloth. It is not only beautiful, they said, but it is also magic. Magic, cried the empire. Yes, said the weavers. Only wise men can see it. Fools cannot. Thought the emperor. If I had a robe made of this cloth, I could quickly find out which of my people are fools. So he told the weavers to start work at once. The emperor let the weavers work on the royal loom. He gave them the best silk thread and the best gold thread. But the weavers did not use the thread to weave the cloth. Instead, they put it into their bags, and the loom stayed empty. They sat and did nothing, for they were not weavers at all. They were planning to trick the emperor. After a few days, the emperor began to wonder about the cloth. So he sent his prime minister to look at it. The prime minister went into the room where the weavers were pretending to work. He looked at the empty room. "Dear me," he thought, "I can't see the cloth. Does this mean I am a fool? If so, I must not let anyone know." The weavers said to the prime minister, "See how beautiful this cloth is?" "Oh yes," said the prime minister, "such fine work and so many colors." But the prime minister really did not see a thing, and there was nothing on the loom to see. The prime minister went back to the emperor. "The cloth is beautiful," he said. "It is the finest cloth I have ever seen." The emperor was pleased. After a few more days, the emperor sent his general to see the cloth. The general went into the room where the weavers were pretending to work. He looked at the empty loom. "Dear me," he thought, "I can't see the cloth. Does this mean I am a fool? If so, I must not let anyone know." He went back to the emperor and said, "The cloth is beautiful. It is the finest cloth I have ever seen." The emperor was pleased. "I'll have to see that wonderful cloth for myself," he said. Can you all hear the music in the background? I can't tell. The emperor went to the room where the weavers were pretending to work. He took his prime minister and his general with him. "Isn't the cloth beautiful?" said the prime minister. "Look at all these colors," said the general, but they were just pretending to see the cloth. The emperor looked at the loom. "I can't see the cloth," he thought. "Does this mean I am a fool? If so, I must not let anyone know." So he said, "The cloth is more beautiful than any I have ever seen. You must make some clothes at once. I will wear them at your next parade." "Very good, your royal highness," said one of the weavers. "Let's measure you." The emperor took off his robe. The weavers took out their measuring tapes. 32 inches here," said one weaver. 17 inches there," said the other weaver. Then the weavers pretended to take the cloth off the loom. "Your royal highness," said the first weaver, "would you like the cloth to hang this way?" "Oh, yes," said the emperor, "that's fine." "Your royal highness," said the other, "do you want the robe this short?" "No, no," said the emperor, "make it a little longer." "Yes, that's perfect." The emperor was so pleased that he gave the weavers 20 bags of gold. If I like the finished clothes, he said, I'll give you 20 more bags of clothes. The weavers smiled. Now the weavers pretended to work harder than ever. They stayed up all night cutting and sewing. Finally, they said, the emperor's new clothes are ready. On the day of the parade, the weavers came to the emperor's room. They held out their empty arms. Here are your new clothes, they said. They are as light as air. Beautiful, cried the emperor. He gave the weavers 20 more bags of gold. Then the emperor took off his old clothes. The weavers pretended to dress him in his new ones. Your Royal Highness, said the weaver, what do you think of the sleeves? They are wonderful, said the emperor. Is it too tight around the waist? Asked the other weaver. Oh, no, said the emperor. It feels fine. He walked back and forth in front of the mirror. Yes, he said, the clothes are a perfect fit, but the emperor really had nothing on except his underwear. The emperor's men bent down and pretended to lift his train. They held their hands high, carrying the train that was not there. And so the parade began. Crowds of people came to watch the parade. They all wanted to see the emperor in his new clothes. People say the clothes are magic, said one man. People say that fools cannot see the clothes, said a woman. Everyone was wondering, will I be able to see them? At last the emperor marched off out of the palace. All the people cried, oh, how beautiful the emperor's new clothes are. What pretty colors, what a perfect fit. But of course, no one could see any new clothes. Just then a little girl shouted, but he hasn't got any clothes on. Did you hear that? Someone asked. The child says he has no clothes. She's right. The emperor is in his underwear. The emperor has no clothes on, the people began to shout. He's wearing his underwear. I feel like the Emperor is just every single one of us right now. The poor Emperor heard them, and he suddenly knew that they were right. He was a fool. He had been tricked. But there was nothing he could do now, so he kept on marching. All the time he was thinking, just wait until I get my hands on those weavers. But it was too late. The weavers had already run off with the 40 bags of gold. They were no fools. And that concludes the Emperor's New Clothes. Okay, so let's see what other wonderful books I have in store for all of us. Henny Penny and the Big Bad Wolf. Henny Penny and the Big Bad Wolf. One day Henny Penny was taking a walk from the farmyard. All of a sudden, something fell on her head. Plonk! Oh my goodness! Screamed Henny Penny. The sky is falling down. I must go tell the king at once. She ran off the farmyard as fast as she could go. She was running so fast that she didn't see her friend Mickey Mouse. Mickey was carrying a bucket of water. Crash! Up went the bucket, down went Mickey, and spilled all over him. The bucket landed on his head. Quick! Get up! There's no time to waste, said Henny Penny. The sky is falling down and we must go tell the king. Up the hill they ran, huffing and puffing. They saw Donald Duck chopping logs with his axe. Just then a bird flew by. The axe slipped and one of his logs hit Donald right in the foot. Ouch! Squawked Donald. He grabbed his foot and started hopping up and down. Aren't you going to help me? Donald asked. We have no time to waste, clucked Henny Penny. The sky is falling down and we must go tell the king. Henny Penny quickly wrapped a bandage around Donald's foot. Then she and Mickey set off again. Donald followed along behind, muttering and limping, and he tried to keep up with his friends. As they crossed the bridge, they saw Goofy. He was sitting on a long log, dangling his fishing line into the stream. But Goofy wasn't really fishing. He was fast asleep. And down below, the fish were swimming around his fishing line. Suddenly, a big fish pulled on Goofy's line. Goofy woke up and started to tumble head over heels into the water. "Oh my goodness," said Henny Penny. "Just look at that." Poor Goofy! He was up to his neck in water. "Gulp, gulp," he said. "Has anyone seen that fish?" Mickey grabbed Goofy by the collar and pulled him out of the water. "I think you lost your fish," he said. "Come on now, we haven't a minute to waste," said Henny Penny. "The sky is falling down and we are off to tell the king." "The sky is falling down, oh my," said Goofy. "I had better come with you." So they set off again. At the top of the hill they came to a field. There they found the three little pigs dancing around the fiddle with their flutes. "Stop that dancing right away," shouted Henny Penny. "Don't you know the sky is falling down? We are on our way to tell the king." Suddenly a voice boomed out, "What's going on here?" It was the big, bad wolf. The little group of friends huddled together. They were afraid of the wolf. "Mr. Wolf, the sky is falling down," said Henny Penny very softly. "We are on our way to tell the king." "Well now," said the wolf, "I just happen to know a shortcut to the king's castle. Why not follow me?" So Henny Penny and her friends followed the wolf out of the field and down the hill towards the stream. But the third little pig, the smart one, stayed behind. He did not trust the wolf. Instead, the third little pig sneaked through the tall grass and took a look at the wolf's house. Outside in the yard was a big kettle, was bubbling with hot fire. "That's the wolf's stew pot," said the pig. "If my friends aren't careful, he will pop them right into the stew." Hi friends watching, I see some of you just popped in. By this time the wolf had led everyone to the edge of the stream. "I am going to take you across in my raft," he told them. "Come on now, Miss Henny Penny," said the wolf with a toothy smile. "Just take a hold of my hand." "Oh my," said Henny Penny. "That is a big jump. I'm not sure I can do it." Just then the third little pig came running up. He whispered something to the other two pigs. Then one of those little pigs whispered something to Goofy. Goofy whispered to Donald. Donald whispered to Mickey. And Mickey whispered to Henny Penny. said Henny Penny, as she whispered something to Mickey. Mickey smiled. You big bad wolf, shouted Henny Penny. This isn't a shortcut at all. You are going to take us home and cook us. Me? Take you home and cook you? Said the wolf. Whatever for? He did not see Mickey untying the rope that held the raft. Suddenly, Henny Penny shouted, 1, 2, 3, push! Everybody pushed the raft with a stick, and the wolf was so surprised that he started to fall over backward. Help me, he shouted. But nobody could help the wolf. The stream carried the raft swiftly towards the waterfall. Down it crashed. The wolf went over too, head first shouting, Help! Do you like my face when I cry? Ah! Come on, said Mickey, pulling Henny Penny along behind him. Let's go home. I don't think the sky is going to fall down after all. And all the friends ran home as fast as they could go. As for the king, no one ever told him that the sky was falling down. I think he looks okay with that. It's a giant king. And that concludes Henny Penny and the Big Bad Wolf. I think like 2 of you are still watching. Do you want me to keep going? I've got more books, but I think literally like no one's here anymore. I'll wait for a reaction of any kind. Nothing. Bueller. Okay. I'll keep going. Let's see here. Ooh, what's this? The Princess Who Never Laughed. Sad princess. The Princess Who Never Laughed. There once was a princess who never laughed. She never even smiled. The king brought clowns to the castle. One made funny faces at the princess, another stood on his head. One tickled her nose with a feather. Still, the princess did not laugh. Near the castle lived a poor woman and her son. The son had his own way of doing things. If his mother told him to wash carrots, he scrubbed them with a washboard. He was such a funny fellow that people called him Goofy. One day, Goofy's mother looked up in the cupboard. There's barely enough food for the mice. "Goofy," said his mother, "we have nothing but stale bread for supper. Go to the castle and ask for a job." "Cheer up, mother," said Goofy. "I'm on my way." When Goofy reached the castle, he saw the princess sitting in her window. Goofy smiled at her, but she did not smile at him. "I wonder why the princess does not smile," thought Goofy. Goofy was so busy looking at her that he did not watch where he was going, and he tripped on a large stone. His hands went one way and his feet went another. Goofy landed on his nose with a thud. Now the princess saw the funny sight. Do you think she laughed? No, she did not even smile. At the royal chicken coop, Goofy found a job. He gathered the royal eggs all day. When Goofy was done with work, the chicken keeper gave him some fresh eggs. "Boy, oh boy," said Goofy. That's the worst impression of Goofy I could possibly come up with. "Boy, oh boy," said Goofy. "Fresh eggs for supper." Away he ran to show them to his mother. But Goofy did not watch where he was going. He tripped again over the same stone. "Boy, oh boy!" His feet went one way and his hands another way, and the eggs flew up in the air. Goofy scrambled to catch the eggs. As soon as he caught one, another slipped through his hands. Crack, whack, splat. Now the princess saw Goofy juggling the eggs, and it was a funny sight. But do you think she laughed? No, she didn't even smile. "You silly," said Goofy's mother when she heard about the broken eggs. "If you had put the big eggs in your hat, you would have brought them home safely." "Cheer up," said Mother. "I will do that next time." The next day, Goofy worked in the royal dairy. All day he milked the royal cows. When Goofy's work was done, the cow keeper gave him a pail of fresh milk. This suspense is killing me. What's going to happen, guys? "Wow," said Goofy. "Fresh milk." Away he ran to show his mother. At the castle gate, Goofy remembered that his mother had said, so he poured the milk into his big hat. Then Goofy put his hat back on. Swoosh! The milk splashed all over him, into his ears and down his chin. It even trickled under his collar. Now the princess was in her window, and she saw the funny mess. But do you think she laughed? No, not even as princess didn't even smile. The princess is broken. "You silly goose," said Goofy's mother when she heard about all the milk. "If you had carried the pail in your hands, You would have brought the milk safely home. Cheer up, Mother, said Goofy. I will do that next time. All the next day, Goofy worked feeding the royal pigs. When his work was done, the pig keeper gave him a wiggly little piglet. The royal piglet, cried Goofy. He could hardly wait to show his mother. Remember what she had said, he tried to carry the piglet in his hands. But the wiggly piglet was slippery, and it wiggled right out of Goofy's hands. The piglet ran through the mud puddle. Goofy splashed through the mud too. The piglet ran into the haystack. Goofy went right in after it. But the piglet was too fast for Goofy, and it got away. The princess looked out her window. There stood Goofy, covered with mud and straw. Do you think she laughed? Not the princess. She didn't even smile. That night, Goofy's mother met him at the door. Goofy told her how he had lost the piglet. Ninny, she said, you have no sense at all. If you had held onto the rope, you could have pulled the piglet home behind you. Cheer up, Mother, said Goofy. I will do that next time. The next day, Goofy found a job in the royal kitchen. All day he washed the royal dishes. When the work was done, the cook gave Goofy a fine fish. When Mother sees this fish, says Goofy, she won't be angry anymore. Then Goofy remembered what his mother had said. Carefully he tied a rope around the fish. Away he went, pulling the fish behind him. When the royal cats smelled the fish, they came running for a bite. Goofy's fish was nothing but bones by the time he passed the princess. Do you think she laughed? Not the princess. She didn't even smile. That night, Goofy told his mother how he had lost the fish. Nincompoop, she cried. You should have carried the fish on your shoulder. Cheer up, Mother. I promise to do that next time. Bright and early the next morning, Goofy went to the castle. This time he found a job cleaning the royal barn. He worked hard all day. Goofy did such a fine job, the barnkeeper gave him a royal cow. This cow will make Mother rich, said Goofy. But how will I get it home? Then he remembered what his mother's words. You should have carried the fish on your shoulder. Goofy put his hat on the cow's head. Next he tied his coat around the cow's neck. Then he got down on his hands and knees and crawled under the cow. Goofy tried to stand up. This cow is so heavy, he said. Goofy huffed and puffed. At last, Goofy stood up. Sure enough, the cow was on his shoulders. Now the princess was looking out her window. She saw Goofy coming up the road with his cow. And do you know what happened? She laughed. She laughed so hard her stomach hurt. She laughed so loud her ears ached. She laughed and laughed and laughed. The king could not believe his ears. If that fellow can make the princess laugh, he should be here all the time, he cried. So the king called for Goofy. Will you come to live in my castle, he said. Sure, I'd like that, said Goofy, if my mother can come too. The very next day, Goofy and his mother came to live in the castle, and they lived happily ever after. And that concludes The Princess Who Never Laughed. Okay. Let's see here. I've got some more books. I don't know. Do you want me to wait until next Wednesday when I have some more stories? Should I keep going? Don't forget, guys, all these videos are posted on my Facebook, and they're public, so you can share them, or rewatch them, or download them, or send them to kids, or laugh at my pain, because I'm trying to drunk read, and I'm messing up most of the words. So if you missed any of these, they're on there. Just scroll till you find them and play them again. As you can see, today's theme was the Renaissance. For those of you who didn't make it to the Renaissance Fair this year, hopefully we'll go next year, and it won't be such a bad thing. So, there's a book called 3 Favorite Tales. I'm not sure if there's actually 3 separate tales in this book. I've never opened it. I could probably get through one more. So, we'll do that. So, we'll do the first of 3 favorite tales. The Bremen Town Musicians. There was once a poor shoemaker named Goofy who did not like making shoes. In fact, he hated it. The only thing he liked to do is play his tuba. At last, Goofy decided to give up his job. I will be a tuba player, he said. I will go to Brenham Town and make music for the king. On his way to Brenham Town, Goofy met Farmer Donald planting seeds in a field. Work, 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 complained Donald. I hate working in the fields. Why don't you come with me? Asked Goofy. I'm going to Brenham Town to play tuba for the king. I would like to, said Donald, but I can't play a tuba. You can sing, can't you? Said Goofy. Of course, said Donald. Just listen to this. Quack, 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 quack. That sounds good to me, said Goofy. Come along. I can't believe I sang quack. a long time they came to a broken cart full of pots and pans. Beside it sat Peddler Mickey grumbling. "I hate this cart. It's always breaking down." "Forget your cart," said Goofy. "Come with us." "Yes," said Donald. "We're going to Brenham Town to make music for the king." "That's a good idea," cried Mickey. "Some of my pots would make wonderful drums. I can play them for the king." "Then come along," said Goofy. The musicians walked and walked until dark. They were feeling tired and hungry. "Let's see if it comes from a house." "Oh, I see a light up ahead," said Mickey. "Let's see if it comes from a house. Maybe we can get some food in there." Soon Donald cried, "It's a house, and the light is coming from this window," said Goofy. Goofy was tall. He could see right into the window. He could see 3 mean men looking. Piles of gold were all lying around them, and they were eating a wonderful meal. Goofy turned to his friends and whispered, "There are 3 men in there. They look like robbers to me." But they had a lot of food. "Oh, how I would love some of that food," said Donald. "I know what we can do," whispered Mickey, and he told them his plan. Donald climbed on top of Goofy. Mickey climbed on top of Donald. Mickey cried, "1, 2, 3. The 3 musicians began to sing and play as loudly as they could. Bang, 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 quack, 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 quack. Oompa, oompa, oompa. Oh my God. Just be glad that this isn't karaoke, guys. And they tumbled through the window. Crash. Did I miss a thing? Oh, yes. No, wait, nope, I didn't. Nope, nope. It just escalated that quickly, guys. Look at this. The robbers were so scared they ran right out of the house. They ran down the road as fast as they could go. The musicians wasted no time. They sat down and finished the robbers' meal. Donald kept looking at all the gold. "We are rich," he cried. "Now we can go to Brenham Town in style." And that's just what they did. And I guess that's the last of the one of the stories called what's it called? I don't remember. The Brenham Town Musicians. I guess they just went to town. That was their thing. They went to town. Looking good. Sounds good to me. So it's just about 7 guys. So that's gonna be the last story of the night. But like I said, I post all my videos, and they're public, and you can watch them anytime, or share them with friends, or make a drinking game out of them when I mess up all the words, which I will, I promise. And I'll do this again on Wednesday and Sundays, until I either run out of books, run out of wine, run out of clothes, or run out of ideas, or sanity. In that case, I might do them more often. Also, tune in because I'll be creating more Renaissance paintings coming soon. I just got to get some stuff. And, yeah, so I'm going to get going, but drink your wine, have your fun, wash your hands, remember the Renaissance, and, yeah, have a good night, guys. Bye.